Starting your own practice is hard for many chiropractors. It's riddled with both struggles and successes. But here at the Chiropractic Philanthropist, we make it easy by having chiropreneurs and entrepreneurs share their struggles and lessons learned in life and business so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. And now here's your host, Dr. Ed Osborne.
How much better would your life be if you could practice by choice because you had multiple passive streams of income supporting you? Go to moneyripples.com or find their podcast, The Chris Miles Money Show, to learn more.
All right, listeners, viewers. So we're going live on Facebook for this T-Suite podcast. I want to introduce an incredible guest. This is going to be a fun conversation because it's been a while since Dr. Russ and I have actually spoke. But Dr. Russ Rosen, and we're going to have an incredible conversation about communication today. But Dr. Russ, I know who you are. I'm a big fan. I would love for you to share, with our listeners, our viewers, tell us a little bit about you, and then let's get into the conversation. Let's get into the goods.
Yeah, Ed, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here. It's been a long time since we last spoke. And yeah, if you don't know me, I'm a coach. I coach natural health care providers who want to help people get healthy and stay healthy for a lifetime versus just getting them out of pain. My kind of claim to fame was, working with Dr. Jen Temple and Dr. Kent. I got the Lifetime Achievement Award in 2007 for what I'll be talking about today, which is communications. And really, it's about empowering our patients to truly understand what we do and want what we offer without using scare tactics or manipulation. And that's the basic story.
I remember that too. By the way, I've done a lot of interviews, but I do remember that specific conversation that we had and how you talked about it. That was really your superpower, but it was also something that you stepped into through some struggle, even in your own experience and practice. Why don't you tell us a little bit of the story of how that actually came to fruition, where it became your superpower and now your expertise, where you're able to help so many doctors with communication?
Yeah, the long and the short of it is I had this amazing, wonderful practice. I moved to Maui in 1988, and I just was so blessed to have this incredible practice. And around 1990, I started accepting insurance because all my friends were going, dude, back in the day, it was $25 a visit. You get $100 a visit. You get $15,000, no questions asked. None. What are you doing? And I'm scratching my head going, okay, well, I'll do that. And then, I got fat and lazy. It's so easy to grow a practice where they have $15,000, right? They don't have to pay. And then one day in 96, it ended. Our insurance ended. I had no idea what was happening. I just, I built $1 million home and I was in debt to my gills. And all of a sudden, 50% of my practice was gone, but 75% of my income was gone. And I just literally just sat in my steam room and cried. Just like, what am I going to do now? So, I actually went to, it's the first time I met Pat Jen Temple and Chris Kent. I flew over to Oahu and did their Philosophy Without a Doubt program. And he goes, dude, you need to come out to the mountain. You need to come to On Purpose. You'll figure out what your contradiction is. And I did it. I spent my last $10,000, $12,000 and went to that. I mean, I literally had no more money in the bank. And I went to that, got really clear in my head, came back. And one of the things that I got really clear about, because philosophically I was always very strong, but one of the things was how to communicate with people in a different way versus telling them, and how to get them to want it. And again, the neuroscience of communications came later as I started coaching. So in 2000, I started coaching docs, left my practice and started coaching docs. And then I just kind of have had, 1.0, then I revamped everything. Then I learned about, the neuroscience communications 2.0. And then I just last year revamped everything again. I took my program from 23 hours down to 15. Every time I'd have a program and then I'd say, oh, but I just learned this. So I'd add it as a brain dump. And, I just learned this. So I just took all of it, put it all together. My communications program is 15 hours now, but it's a really simple, easy concept. But you need to understand this if you want your patients to truly get it. And I'll just throw it out. Have you ever been talking with a patient and all of a sudden their eyes glaze over and they start to drool? The answer is yes. And if you ever been with a patient and they're with you, but they don't come back to the report of findings, or they're at the report of findings and all of a sudden they have to go home and think about it. Or you've got a patient that is a great patient and all of a sudden they quit care and they won't get back with you. The truth of the matter is, and I know none of us want to hear this, it's a good news, bad news thing. You caused it. The odds are you caused it. But if you understand that and you understand the neuroscience of communications, you can quit doing that. And you can actually start getting people to really get what you do and want what you offer.
So the concept, because you've been guiding and mentoring so many doctors for, at least, in your program. I remember, so I'll back up. So I remember when I first met you, we had our first conversation and I visited your website and I did some research. I'm like, I really couldn't believe how much content and how much information and online courses and materials. I was so impressed. So I really feel like you were one of the pioneers in creating virtual content as a coach in our industry, as in our profession. But what have you observed in terms of communication from then when you began to where we are today, in the climate of change that we have?
Yeah, I would suggest it's unfortunate what I've seen. It still gets down to tell people. You got to tell people the story. If you tell people the story, they're going to want what you offer. And if you understand the neuroscience of communications, which is a real life science, you understand that that's not true. And it's why, 1895 till now, and we're still in the shape we're in chiropractically. I personally also work with naturopaths and holistic medical doctors. I'm working with a thoracic surgeon right now. People who really want to help people get healthy and stay healthy. Across the board, it's the same thing. Go and tell people what you want them to know. And it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And it's why, regardless of our profession, natural optimal healthcare versus the medical model has never really got into the mainstream yet, right? And I look at this chart right here. It's a chart that we use where you got -10 is near death and 0 is comfort. You feel good, but you're not functioning at your optimum. And then there's optimal health. Well, one of the things I really focus on is how do you help people understand the difference between feeling good and functioning at their optimum? But then doctors, how would you actually communicate with somebody up here? They don't have any aches or pains anymore. They haven't in a long time. How do you really communicate with them and stretch their consciousness around optimal health and well-being? And yet I just don't see it. It's just not something we really see.
What's the first step then? To make that transition of taking someone away from pain and symptoms. And pain and symptoms, this is an interesting conversation because now we're being taught online or through media that you can be sick even though you have no symptoms. So, but what is the conversation of that transition? What's the very first step that we need to help people understand?
Yeah, look, here's the deal. It's going to come down to function versus feeling. That's what it's going to come down to. So how do you feel versus how is your body functioning? But most importantly is we need to start to close the gap. So we need to understand that the average person that comes to see us thinks you can help me feel better. And again, regardless how you practice, neck pain, back pain, headaches, it could be, I do stress hormones, I could do anti-aging. It doesn't matter what you do, gut issues, it's all the same thing. There's symptoms versus being as healthy as you can possibly be. So I know when you come in to see me, the odds are I can help you get healthy and stay healthy for a lifetime. What you think is I can help you get feeling better. There's a very specific process, a series of questions I need to ask this person to help them recognize the difference between the two, and then to let me know which one they truly want. And I'm okay with whichever one they want, but they need to understand the difference. So there was a seminar I went to with a mentor of mine. He said, find out what they want and show them how to have it. I'm not going to say his name because I really honor this guy, but what he said was, you find out what they want. Well, they want to feel better, so crack their neck. And then don't give them a big care plan. Just crack their neck and they'll become crack addicts. And what he was saying was find out what they want, which is, I want to feel better, and give it to them. And eventually they'll want more. And I don't agree with that. What I believe is find out what they want in relationship to what you can truly do for them. So if you can actually help people get healthy and stay healthy, you have to help them understand that. Now it's their choice. And we need to make two reasonable choices, right? Not, well, we can resolve your problems, or, corrective care, or temporary patch it up Band-Aid care that only a moron would choose, right? Those aren't two real choices. We have to give them real, honest choices, and then be happy to give them whichever they want, including, this isn't what I do. Really, all I do is corrective care. Really, all I do is resolve care, like whatever it is. Therefore, let me refer you out. But again, it's all set up with this series of questions you're asking people, so you can really go back to, do you remember I said my main goal was to make sure you were in the right place to get the care that you need? And now that we know what you want, I'm not the right guy. Let me refer you to the right guy, and have relationships set up for that. But again, it's going to come to understanding the neuroscience of communications and the series of questions you must ask people to shift their paradigm and shift their consciousness so they want what you offer, right? It's much easier to give someone something they want versus selling them something they don't want.
And so would you say, like, I mean, when you say like something when that they wanted, like, do we wait? Do we like when you said that salivating, is that like they're ready to buy, or is it like they're falling asleep? Like, what is the secret here to help having them ask you for more, right? Get that want across.
Here we go. All right. So it's called the neuroscience of communications. And look, it's understanding one of the things, and again, I've just never heard any other programs talk about this, is I need to apply my story to your story. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your story and I'm going to draw it out of you. I need to draw your story out of you because this is what you're interested in. This is my story. This is your story. What we were taught was to come and tell you about my story. Let me tell you about chiropractic. And his dog, Didi Palmer, had a wife named Ruth, and she had a son named BJ. And
that doesn't work.
They don't care, right? What do they care about? They care about them. They care about their story. What's in it for me? That's what they care about. And people love their story. So if I can pull their story out of them, but apply my story to their story, they now have a new belief system, right? So here's how this works. In the neuroscience of communications, we understand that we've got the reptilian brain. So the reptilian brain is all about survival. We learned it as the 3 F's: food, fighting, and fornication. Food, fighting, and fornication, okay? That's what the reptilian brain does for a living. If it's not about food, fighting, and fornication, it's not sending information up to the neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving. That's where we want to get it to. If it makes it to the neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving, and it makes sense, they'll drop it into the limbic system as a new belief system. Okay? I need to shift their consciousness. I need to shift their paradigm. I have to help them get a new belief system. So I'm going to draw their story out of them. I'm going to apply my story to their story. It's going to go past the reptilian brain to the neocortex for thinking and reasoning. You will literally see them do this. Yeah, that is what I want. They'll literally send it up, drop it into the limbic system, and it's now a new belief system. It's not Ed's new belief system. It's not Ed's belief system. It's not Russ's belief system. This is their new belief system. Now, this is what they believe and what they want. So later, when I do get here, when I do get to this point, I can literally ask them, which would you prefer? I'd be happy to give you whichever you prefer. But because I planted seeds along the way, which I'm happy to show you how to do, because I planted those seeds along the way, by the time they get here, it is 100% their idea. They literally will reach through, they'll grab you by the throat and say, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I want to get healthy and stay healthy. I want to get healthy and stay healthy. That's what I want. And you go, okay, all right, if that's what you want. And then you show them how they can have what they want. So here's the key. Imagine you're sitting in class Okay, you're sitting in class and here's what you hear. Wah, 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 wah. And the teacher's droning on. And you're looking out the window going, God, the North Shore is up and I'd love to be surfing right now. And then you hear it and that'll be on the test. And you hear all this paper rustling and people woke up because the reptilian brain said this for survival, this is important. I need to send it up to the neocortex for thinking and reasoning. Again, imagine you're in New York, trains going by, people getting shot, sirens going off. You have a new baby. You're fast asleep. Trains going by, nothing's waking you up. Your baby cries. Bam, you wake up. That's the reptilian brain. But here's the problem. The reptilian brain isn't interested in being taught anything at all. Mm-hmm. So how do we get our information in the neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving? That's the name of this game. You with me so far?
Yeah. Something just clicked for me.
Go ahead.
Well, because if you put someone into a fear zone, I have to think that they're going, they're not going to be able to process things properly. They're going to be in this fight or flight response, right? They're not going to be thinking properly.
Yeah, you just skipped ahead. Thank you. So that's the amygdala.
Okay.
What the amygdala does for a living is fight or flight. But if you're in fight or flight, do you need to think and reason? No, you need to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
So nothing gets sent to the neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving. In an average conversation, we hear about 25% of what the other person is saying. 25%, that's about what we hear. I'm thinking about what I'm going to say. I'm multitasking, right? All of that goes on. Let me ask you this. If you were speaking with a patient, docs, I'm asking you who are listening right now, and I'll ask you for when you're speaking with somebody, what percentage of your information would you like getting to their neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving?
80%.
Okay, I want 100%. How about you?
I want to be realistic. 100% though.
I guarantee you can have 100%.
Well, then sign me up.
All right, let's get 100%. Let me show you exactly how to do it. Here's the key. This is the trick. Quit speaking from your neocortex to their neocortex. That's the trick. When you speak from your neocortex to their neocortex, you're trying to educate. We've all heard it. You got to tell the story. You got to tell the story. You got to get out and tell the chiropractic story, right? Mm-hmm. You need to recognize that doesn't work. What we need to learn how to do is speak from our neocortex to their reptilian brain. If you can speak from your neocortex to their reptilian brain and get their reptilian brain interested, it will send that information to the neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving. How do you know that it happened? Because they will do this, and they'll answer your question. But it's going to come through Socratic questions. So if you're not going to use food fighting and fornication, although that may help build your practice, it could get you in trouble with the Reggie boards, right?
Yeah.
So probably stay away from sex and fighting with your patients, right? Okay, if we're not going to do that, what are we going to do? Well, we need to make it new, novel, and exciting. In essence, we need to make it about them. There's nothing more new. There's nothing more novel. There's nothing more exciting to them about them than them. So we're going to ask them questions about them and their story, right? That's what we're going to do. I'm going to speak from my neocortex to your reptilian brain, and I'm going to do it through Socratic questions. Here's an informational question. Ed, what is your last name?
Osborne.
Okay, did you already know that, or did you just learn something and have a big epiphany?
Mine, it's programmed, I know.
You already know it. That's an informational question.
Yeah.
Here's a Socratic question. So let me ask you a question. Why do you think this keeps coming back and isn't resolving? They will do this.
I was about to do.
Right? That's what you do. Let me ask you a question. What level of health do you think you're at? What level of health do you want to get to? What do you think you need to do to get there? Let me ask you this. When you're asking Socratic questions, you make them think. So when they come back and they say, well, I think this is it, are you 100% sure it made it to the neocortex for thinking and reasoning? Yes. The only way they can respond other than yes, no, right? They don't have to think that through. They give you a yes or no answer. You don't know if it made it to the neocortex. right? But if you say, why do you think this isn't resolving? And they go, God, I think it's because now I know it's getting here. Once you have a flow of information making it to the neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving, that flow, that bandwidth is happening. It's going, and now it's flowing. And all I got to do is continue to ask the right questions, and I will take them through this entire process, and they will get to the point that they will beg you to get healthy and stay healthy versus just getting out of pain. But, like doctors will put it on their history form. They'll say, do you want to just, temporary Band-Aid patch it up, or do you want to actually resolve this? Dude, you got to be kidding yourself. They don't even know what that means yet. And there's an obvious answer, which is to put this one. But you didn't shift their consciousness. You manipulated them into giving you the answer that you wanted to hear.
Right.
There's a massive difference between the two.
Sorry, there's a lot of a lot of bells going off for me. One of the things too that this brings up for me too is like, I would see that this, understanding this neuroscience of communication would be incredibly valuable in pretty much any sort of connection or communication, even including your team in your office and the understanding of this, and not in a manipulative way, like in a helpful way. Totally. I don't know if everyone's like me, but when I go to a new office, like even if it's a new dentist or something, I mean, I'm a little uncomfortable, a little unsettled when I walk into the office because I've never been there before. So if I'm walking into a new chiropractic office, I'm a new patient, am I in the reptilian brain? And so is that why people are, why we really need to understand this so that we can really connect with them and help them retain that information?
I love the way you think. Yeah, they're in their amygdala. What percentage of people, doctors, come to see you with some form of anxiety? He's going to hurt me. He's not going to help me. She's going to charge me too much. Everyone. So if you don't have a way of getting them out of the amygdala into sending information to the neocortex, they are hearing very, very small percentage of what you're saying. Right? I hear doctors tell me this all the time. I tell them over and over and over again, I answer the same questions every time, right? They didn't hear you, right? That's why they keep asking you the same questions. It's why they keep complaining about the same things, because it never made it to the neocortex, into the limbic system. So when they go home, you type this Word document and then you close it, but it never saved. You want to save the document every single time they leave. You need to learn how to do that. And again, it's going to come through the Socratic questions. When you ask them the question, they think it through, then they'll drop it into the limbic system as a new belief system. Let me walk you through some of this. So let's take a look at a consultation. And again, we apply this consultation, exam, report, findings, regular daily interactions, re-exam, re-report, doesn't matter. It's all the same concept. So there are very specific things that I want to do in a consultation, okay? The first thing I want to do is build rapport. I want to relieve concerns and fears. I want to find out why they're actually here. And trust me, they're not here because of their pain. They're here because of loss or potential fear of loss. And we have to help them recognize their truth, which I'm really happy to dive into. I've never heard anyone teach this before, and it really helps doctors. We then need to build rapport, relieve concerns, find out why they're here, 3D stress, classic, and hook. These are the things that need to happen in a consultation. We've heard all of this before, but from a different perspective. We heard this is what you tell them.
Yes.
What I want to do is look at, what do you ask them? So let me ask you a question. Why would we want to build rapport right off the bat?
To set them at ease.
Exactly. Set them at ease. Yeah. Because if they're not at ease and they don't trust us, the odds are they won't believe us and they won't buy from us. That's why we want to build rapport. And when we meet people, we literally sniff each other under the tail. It's what all mammals, it's what we do. And we're literally asking friend or foe. If it's friend, they're sending information to the neocortex. If it's foe, they're stuck in their amygdala and they're in fight or flight. If you don't get them out of fight or flight, they will not send the information to the neocortex. And everything you say is not getting there. And again, in my world, it's a series of steps. I'm asking you a series of questions. Now I got you to the second floor. I'm asking you a series of questions. Now I got you to the third floor. Now I got you to the fourth floor. It's all threading the same story. So that's why I want to build rapport. In my world, it takes 15 seconds to do so. But, you spend as much time as you like. Then I want to relieve their concerns or fears. Again, does anyone come to see you with concerns or fears? Yes. So now it's the time to relieve it. Real quick. I want to let you know my main goal is to make sure you're in the right place to get the care you need. My promise is I'm going to help you. For any reason it doesn't seem like it can help you, I'm going to do everything I can to get you to someone who can help you. I'm not going to waste your time and money. Does that sound fair to you? Yeah. All right, good. Now I'm going to get into finding out why they're here, right? Mm-hmm. So now I'm going to start asking these very specific Socratic questions to find out why they're actually here. 3 dimensions of stress. So mental, emotional, biochemical, physical. Why do we do that? Because at some point, I need to be able to stroke my goatee and say, I got to tell you, it's an accumulation of stress over time that can lead to these kinds of headaches and subluxations and really these kinds of health problems. No wonder you're in the shape you're in. And if we don't address that question in their mind, which is, how did this happen? They go on tilt. Classic. Why do we want to help them understand this is classic? Because they're in the right place. And again, here's the classic. Well, I got to tell you, you have neck pain and we help people with neck pain. So is that keeping their reptilian brain super engaged? Is that super personalized and new and novel and exciting? No. And listen, I got to tell you, man, when you were 17 years old, you were skydiving and your parachute barely opened before you hit the ground. And from that moment on, you've had these terrible, terrible migraines. And we see traumatic injuries like the type you had lead to these kinds of subluxations, planting the seeds for subluxations, and health problems, planting the seeds that subluxations are health problems. We see this all the time, right? It's the way in which we do these things that makes all the difference in the world. Hope, wouldn't it be great if we can not only help you with your headaches, but truly resolve these problems once and for all so you can get healthy and stay healthy for a lifetime? And they literally will do this. Yeah, I would like to do that. Now, just for fun, we've already planted seeds about this in the part that I'd like to dive into right now. But there's several places we're planting these seeds with questions so it becomes their idea. It's not your idea.
Take the guesswork out of your practice. Achieve certainty with the Insight scanning system. Chiropractors can now analyze a patient's condition more accurately, communicate findings more effectively, while allowing both the doctor and patient to track the effectiveness of your care. Find out how Insight can help grow 30% in as little as 3 months by filling out the practice survey assessment, a $149 value. Head to insightcla.com/PSA. The event code is TCP.
Does it make sense?
Absolutely. Here's the interesting thing is this doesn't apply just to, this applies to all entrepreneurs. You know what I mean? I literally wrote down, I'm like, I need to review my sales call process.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, I'll be frank. When people I do sales calls, but it's about connection, rapport, and it is the neuroscience of communication. And here's the thing is a lot of docs may think they have been trained in this, or maybe they're like already doing this, but you can slip and you can forget, you can miss key pieces. And then you're wondering why your conversions are dropping and why you're not connecting with people.
Absolutely. And just for fun, this applies for if you're talking to your spouse, if you're talking to your children, if you're at the bank and you have a teller that there's an issue going on. In our world, these are the questions I'm going to ask during the consult. And this is in the module that you go through in green. This is all the notes I would have taken if I was listening to me. This is the question that was right here, right? So these are the questions you're going to ask. This is that question. This is the scripting, but there's no real scripting because you're just asking a question. And then this is what you're trying to accomplish. As long as you know what you're trying to accomplish, you just have a conversation. It's not a scripted thing. Let me give you an example. I want to find out why somebody is really here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to summarize what I know so far. I know, Ed, that you had this accident. It's really causing these bad headaches and pain down your shoulder. I know you're concerned about losing your job. Just a quick summary. What's going on? How can I help? Now, you'll notice I didn't say, when did it start? What makes it better? What makes it worse? Because that's what I want to talk about. That's doctor stuff. But remember, what I want to do is I want to pull out their story. I want them to talk about what they want to talk about. So when I do this, I know there are three possible answers. One, they're going to talk about diagnosis or lack of diagnosis. Two, they're going to talk about pain. Three, they're going to talk about how it affects their life. Those are the only three possible answers. You will never say, and I understand you have this pain. I know you're concerned about losing your job. Tell me more about it. And Ed goes like this, blue Corvette. It's never going to happen. There are three possible answers. And if you think these through, you never get caught off guard, right? You never get caught off guard. So let's take a look at answer one, diagnosis or lack of diagnosis. And I'll throw this out because you had mentioned some people may not be able to be on this long. I go into extreme detail about this in a webinar on-demand format. So if you go to the ohcsystem.com/thrive, I have an 84-minute, very, very detailed version of this. And I go into it, in the exam and how we use this particular brochure. And I go into this. And for your listeners, I said that if you go there, you'll see that I don't offer. But if you want me to send you the brochure that I use and the specific questions that I teach in that, which we will not be able to get to today, I'll send it to you at no charge.
Thank you.
Just let me know that you were part of this podcast. But excuse me. But so listen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to say, I understand you have what's going on. Please tell me more about it. And then what we're going to do is, regardless of what they say, okay, diagnosis or lack of diagnosis, pain or how it affects their life, we're going to acknowledge or commiserate, and we're going to connect the dots and make the picture bigger through Socratic questions. That's what we're going to do. So a classic answer you're going to hear, diagnosis or lack of diagnosis, sounds like this. I got to tell you, I'm so frustrated. I've seen a dozen doctors. Nobody knows what's going on. Everyone says something different. I've taken this drug and now I have dry mouth. I got to take this drug for that. Now I'm impotent, right? I mean, it's like it goes on and on and on. Okay, so if I start talking about OPQRST of pain, when did it start? What makes it better? What makes it worse? What you're going to find in the consultation is it will go on forever because they will keep complaining because you never acknowledged their frustration. I drew Ed's story out of him, which is, I'm frustrated. That's what he wants to talk about. That's what I need to talk about. And I know you want to get to OPQRST of pain, but it's the wrong time. You with me? It's the wrong time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead.
No, I get it. I'm following you 100%.
So how do I handle this? Step one, acknowledge. Yet I got to tell you, I understand how frustrated you are. Make the picture bigger. I got to tell you, probably 8 out of 10 people that we see here have already seen a dozen other practitioners just like you, and they haven't got results. You and I look through a different lens right now, and let's see, right? Because here's all the people they've seen. Let's see if we can see from a different perspective and truly help you resolve these problems once and for all. Sound fair? And they will do this. I promise you, they'll go like this. Yeah, that sounds great. You'll see them take a deep breath. You'll see them relax. You'll see their arms uncrossed. And I planted my first seed about the difference between feeling better and resolving your problems. Treating your symptoms, which you've tried and hasn't worked, and truly resolving your problems, getting to the underlying cause of your problems. And that's how fast it is. It's that quick. Put a pin in it. I can now move on. Let's say that they started with pain. Here's what pain sounds like, and you'll be surprised. Pain sounds like this. That's what pain sounds like. Now, you'll be surprised that more often than not, that's not how they respond. How they truly respond is, I have pain every time I blank. I have pain and now I can't blank. I have pain, I'm afraid I won't be able to blank. See, they don't want to talk about their pain. Ed, what do they want to talk about?
How it's affecting them. Like what
How
they can't
do. Yeah, they want to talk about blank.
Yeah.
So if they do talk about pain, so will you. How come? Because that's what they want to talk about. When did it start? What makes it better? What makes it worse? OPQRST pain, talk about it. But trust me on this, 80% of the time, they want to talk about how it affects their life, right? So when it comes to how it affects their life, it's going to be one of three things: work, play, or home. Those are the three possibilities. And the story is the same. It doesn't matter. I don't care if they're swinging a hammer, work, swinging a golf club, play, or swinging their grandchild, home. I don't care. It's the same story. There's a continuum of a conversation that I need to draw out of them and apply my story to. So can I show you right now how I draw your story out and apply this story to it? We okay?
Get on.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to run out of time.
That's
so
okay. No, this is good.
Here's how we do it. What I'm going to say is, so you just said, so I'm a roofer. So as a roofer, and again, if I say, how is it affecting you on the job? You're going to get, I can handle it, right? No. So listen, as a roofer, you're going up and down ladders, you're carrying heavy things, you're bending over, you're swinging a hammer all day. When you're doing that, how's that affecting you on the job? Now, what I have to do is look at a continuum. And that continuum I'm going to be talking about is performance, less than, and quit. Performance, less than, and quit. So I'm going to talk about the performance. So you're going up and down ladders, blah, blah, blah. How is it affecting you? Yeah, man, every time I swing, it hurts. Tell me more about it. So is that affecting how much work you can get done during the day? Are you doing piecemeal, or are you getting paid per hour? Are you having to take more breaks? Like, really look at how it's affecting them. Are you going home and you're wiped out and it's, you yelling at your kids, right? How is that affecting your performance in your life? Now I'm going to look at less than. So let me ask you this. Is this causing you to work less? Have you missed work? Are you concerned you're going to miss work, right? Now we're going to move to quit. So are you concerned if this progressively worsens that you're going to have to quit altogether, or have they already had to quit their job? So here's my story. Subluxations progress over time. If they continue to progress and worsen, the odds are you're going to end up having to work less and eventually possibly have to quit doing whatever it was that we were talking about, work, play, or home, right? That's my story. Here's your story. I want you to fix my pain. Right? So there's this huge gap that we need to cover. So when I say, so then let me ask you, are you having to start to miss work? Yeah, I've missed a couple of days. And are you concerned that if it were to progressively worsen, that you would end up having to stop altogether? Yes. So now I'm going to apply my story to your story. So, Ed, if I understand it correctly, you're not just saying that you want to feel better so you can continue to work. And again, you got to stroke your goatee when you do it, especially the women. All the women that work with me grow goatees. So if I understand it correctly, you don't just want to feel better so you can work again, but you'd like to resolve this once and for all so you can continue to work. Is that true? I promise you they'll go like this. That is true. Now, here's what I did. I planted the seeds for this story. They now walk out and they say to their spouse, you know what, honey? I don't just want to get feeling better. I want to mask these symptoms. I want to resolve this once and for all. It's now their story. I took their story, applied my story to it, dropped it into their limbic system, and it's now their new story. You with me on that? Did that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So let's take a look at it. Swinging a hammer. Well, that makes sense. Swinging a golf club. Let me ask you, what would performance be for a golfer?
Well, it's tangible. They can see that their score is getting better.
Thank you. Short game, long game, score. Having fun. Okay. What would be less? What would be less with golf?
Like if they couldn't swing a club, like you mean like what would affect their game the most?
Well, it would be like I'm having to golf less.
Right.
I used to do 18 holes. I can only do 9. I used to do 5 days a week. I can only do 2. Okay. What would be put all together? Yeah, I'm afraid I'm going to have to put all together. right?
Give it up.
What about swinging your child? Same thing, right? So, family time, chores, and sleep. But when you think this through and you understand it, and there's this template in your mind, and you're simply having this conversation, you easily build rapport, relieve concerns and fears, find out what's going on with them, work, play, and home. It's just such an easy thing to do because you know what you're trying to accomplish, and you're asking these Socratic questions, which are getting them there. Now, what happens if you start to go in this direction and they go, oh, yeah, I wrote down on my form about golf, but, that happened once 35 years ago. Are you now going to talk about, are you afraid you're going to have to put it all together? No. Are you going to ruin them? Anybody who's studied any of those ones, are you going to ruin them and scare the hell out of them? No, you're not going to. They feel it as manipulation. It's no way to spend your life by ruining people. Where do you go from there? So if I want to find out, clearly they're not here because of golf. That's not why they're here. And there is a reason why they're here. We need to figure it out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And trust me, it's never the pain. Is anyone walking around in pain that doesn't come to see somebody in? Yes. So it's not the pain, it's loss or potential fear of loss. We need to draw that out of them. So if I want to find out why they're here right now, and I know it isn't in this direction, I could spend a lot of time asking you questions about work, play, or home, where I can ask you one simple, easy question that will save me a ton of time. Ed, any idea what that might be?
No. At this point, I'm not sure what that question is, but I'm like on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, good. And just for fun, for those of you listening right now, the reason why I'm doing this with Ed right now is because I want to keep this as Socratic as possible. Now, it's hard because I'm really doing I'm trying to get my points across as far as this to educate you guys about this. But I know with Ed right now that I can keep him present by doing the same thing by asking Socratic questions. And I know that if I give him this information now, but he has a full cup, and when I was looking at him and he's taking notes and he's trying to stay present with me, that it felt like the cup was starting to fill up. Just so you know, that's why I'm doing this. So I asked him what that answer is, and I saw him literally freeze for a moment. And that's the kind of thing that will put him on tilt. That's the thing that will get the reptilian brain to stop sending information to the neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving. That's the kind of thing that he then says to me, I have to go home and think about it. And your patients do it all the time. If you go back and watch this, you will look in his eyes. You will literally see that's what started to happen. And so I stopped and I said, so what question would you ask? And it caused a little shot of norepinephrine, which in the neuroscience of communications, when you're having fun with them and they're getting to talk, it's all dopamine, right? Okay. It's all endorphins, but that puts them to sleep. That's fine, and it feels good. I need a shot of norepinephrine, not by scaring them, but by doing that, where I just said, so what do you think? And he goes, I don't know. I know he's present now. I know that that's empty now. I know he's ready to hear me now. Just for fun, that's why I did that.
Yeah.
So what's the answer? I went in this direction. I hit a stop. Okay, that's not the right direction to go. I could ask him 10,000 other questions, or I could just say this. And listen, clearly golf isn't why you're here right now. You've had this going on for years. Why now? I mean, why are you here now? It's that simple. I promise you, the next words out of his mouth are why he's here right now, and that's the direction I need to go. Connect, commiserate or acknowledge, connect the dots, to make the picture bigger. I'm not here because of golf. I'm here because my mother had this and ended up with a dowager or something. My dad had this and ended up with a surgery. Because I finally found someone, my friend has got great results with you. I've wanted this thing taken care of for years so that I can get back to rugby. I want to play rugby again. Like I promise you, the next words out of their mouth. But you can spend a fraction of the time in your consult, in your exam, in your report of findings, a fraction of the time as you are right now, if the only darts you throw hit bullseyes. But if here's my 100 questions I need to ask this person, and I'm going to interrogate them. I'm a technician interrogating you. So let me ask you, when was the first time? And everybody falls asleep. But if we're doing this and we're throwing bullseyes, we're literally finding out what their story is. They're completely engaged. They're so excited somebody will finally listen to them. At the end of every single paragraph, every time they stop talking, you take your story and you apply it to their story. It's such a simple thing. you either stroke your goatee and go, so if I understand it correctly, is that true? And they go, yeah. Or you ask them a question which causes them to get it. But when you do that and you draw this out of them and apply your story to it, it happens in moments. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden they get it. You're a master. They're ready to move on, and you move on. And it's the same thing in the exam. You know, we do this whole process. Where'd that go? With our touch to last teach and our whole story that we go through, and we get them to say, yeah, I got this going on. I understand I have subluxations. I understand what they could be causing. Not just my headaches, but all these other health problems. I know what brought them on. I know what happens if I don't get it taken care of. I get if we were to get these taken care of and truly resolve them, learn ways of recreating them, I can not only feel better and prevent problems in the future, but I could be healthier in 5 years than I am right now. I could have a better life. Look, this is a health problem, not a back problem. I want to get healthy and stay healthy. I guarantee you, you give me 4 or 5 minutes with anybody, I can get them to get this and say it out loud. And so can you. And at the ohcsystem.com/thrive, I go into great detail about this. And again, I'm happy to send it, but I know we're coming to the end of our time, brother, because you got a hard stop.
Well, and so anyone who's watching this Facebook Live right now, I am like kind of multitasking a bunch of things because I probably got like 4 pages of copious notes here. I like to think I'm a thoughtful person, and you've given me so much to think about that I'm like, I start thinking about some of the things you're saying and I'm like, oh, I'm not doing this, or I'm not doing that, or I need to start doing that again. And I was doing that. And I know a lot of doctors are probably thinking that along that same train of thought right now. So in the Facebook Live, I've dropped in the comments, actually, the link, so you can actually go and check out the free training. It's the Science of Yes. If you're listening on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or any of the audio platforms, you can actually open the show notes on this show right now. You'll see that the link will be there. Now, you may also go to thechiropracticphilanthropist.com. We're going to have a web page dedicated to our discussion with Dr. Russ today, and you will be able to find the link for the Science of Yes there as well. I want to thank you so much for being on the show today, Dr. Russ. This is so good. I feel like we could probably do another hour right now. It's like so good. Because it's so, you can see I'm like going there, right? I'm like, oh man, this is so valuable for doctors. And especially with the last, what's occurred in the last year and helping people really, out of that, I feel like so many people are already in the amygdala right now. Like they're constantly in a stress mode right now. So this is so important that they get this information right now. Is there any other way that they can reach out to you other than that we can drop for them? Maybe just head over to your website as well and learn more information about connecting with you?
Sure. Yeah. They can go to the ohcsystem.com. They can email me, Dr. Rosen, DRROSEN at the ohcsystem.com. You'd be amazed how great I am at responding to emails and helping people. You got questions, I got answers. I would suggest just for you, my brother, and thank you for doing this for me. It doesn't matter if it's a sales call. Trust me, the chiropractic report of findings, visit 1, visit 2 is a sales call. Like they don't like that word, but it's the same thing. And it really is. It's a series of questions to help get people to recognize they want what you offer or they don't. And if they don't, bless their heart. And if they do, bless their heart. But it's so much easier to give someone something they want than to try and manipulate them and scare them into something they don't want.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. And regardless of how you practice or what your license is, and if you use functional medicine or you just adjust, or it doesn't matter. If you can really get your story across to these people, they will want what you offer. We're there, but I just got to throw this out. This year, in my coaching clients, we've had more people have their best years ever than any time ever in my 21 years of coaching. And the reason is, and I know it sounds like a bunch of bullshit, but it's true. The reason is because there's never been a time in my lifetime that people are so afraid of being sick. Yeah. They want help. And if you can quit talking about just pain, I'm not saying don't talk about their pain, but connect with their pain and help them understand it's a health issue, not a back issue. When you can connect the subluxation, you can connect their health to their health and their immune system, you will be amazed at how many people will come in and see you.
Wow.
It's absolutely, I have a whole process on how to talk with your patients about these Socratic questions to talk about the immune system and help them understand health and that's what they want from you. So if anyone's interested in that, I have a 28-minute one on that I'd be happy to send you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And I want to thank you so much for taking your time today, and also really giving back to doctors. So appreciated.
Absolutely, my brother. Good to see you again, man. It's been a long time.
Want more certainty with your x-rays? Want to streamline your workflow more so you can see more patients? Or just want to limit your liability with x-rays? Get a second opinion. Dr. Cliff Tao is a chiropractic radiologist and reads diagnostic imaging studies for all chiropractors. His professional, highly detailed reports are provided next business day with stat reports available same day. Head to clifftaodcdacbr.com for more information. That's Cliff Tao, TAODCDACBR.com today. You can also find us on Facebook and LinkedIn.
So you've heard the struggles, you've heard the successes, and this episode is done. But there's still so much more to come and so much more to learn. Head on over to thechiropracticphilanthropist.com and sign up for our newsletter, where you'll receive free practice building tips and strategies, including how to market your practice with your very own podcast and so much more. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on The Chiropractic Philanthropist.